All right, Mike Lee, it is such an honor to have you on the podcast, the Calgary Fitness Podcast, where we get together some of the biggest industry professionals within the Calgary area, which I think is super important because there's a lot of people in Calgary who have a story to tell, and yours, I have been following you for a while on social media. This is the first time where we've really connected in person, even though we're over Skype right now. But I think it's really cool to kind of hear your story. So first off, it's really inspiring to hear that, I mean, you're a guy who's got kids, you're a busy dad, but at the same time, you're still doing you. You're still making sure that you're staying fit and healthy. So tell me a little bit about you, man.
Let me tell you a little bit about me. First off, Justin, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I know you reached out, a few months ago, and we were both busy boys, and we've been, meaning to get this done. And I am so excited to come on here and finally meet you and meet your fans out there.
Yes. No, anytime. I'm happy, man. I'm happy. I just love, you know what? The thing that I really like about you first, Mike, before we get into your story, is that you always have a smile on your face. No matter what, even when you're grinding, my friend, even when you're grinding, right? Those little videos that you put out, you give us a quick smile and you're like, it's almost like, come with me. It's very inviting. So that's what I really appreciate about you. So yeah, awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. You know what? Life's too short, man. Like, life is way too short to be grumpy, and there's too much negativity in this world for us to, be adding to that. We talk about it all the time about how, we're in charge of the next step, right? We have full control of that next step. So why be negative about it? So
you got it, man.
So let me, I'll just kind of dive in a little bit as to, my story. If we're from a general perspective, like, I've always been a fitness guy. Even, I was in athletics in high school and stuff, and tried to stay, in fitness. I was a pretty skinny kid, always looking for ways to, really in my 20s, it was really all about looking good. Let's be honest. Motivation changes as you get older. But like in the beginning, that was the source of motivation. I wanted to be a better athlete. I wanted to look good. You want to look good for the girls, want to look good for, be respected by your buddies. That was kind of the motivation in, when you're in your late teens, early 20s. But as, I started to get a little bit older, obviously motivation starts to change for you. So, then it became more of a health thing for me. And then as I got into becoming a family man, my motivation changed once again. And, it's at the point now for me where I'm really just trying to live a little longer, man. Let's be honest here, right? And be able to do the things that my young mind is telling me that I should still be able to do. I guess from, a general perspective, that's kind of the shift in my mentality from being a young man to where I am today. And obviously there's more details in the story as to, all the different phases of my life where that motivation changed for me. But, we hit bumps in the road, right? And you're a family man yourself, like, especially in the early days when you first have a child, like it's a life-changing event. And this isn't, and there's no, 30-day money-back guarantee on your kid. Like, this is it, man. Right? That kid comes home and it's like a switch, and there's no punch in, punch out card. Like, this is your kid. It's time, it's time. And for me, I remember, when I realized that it wasn't about me anymore, when I realized that my life was changing. And it was tough. Like, we know how with fitness, how the mindset is such a big part of the game. And, I'm not going to lie, like, I guarantee you every other parent that's listening to this podcast right now, or this episode, has, is either going through it or has been through it, where, it's hard to get motivated to stay fit, to stay healthy, to eat right, all that sort of stuff. Like, you're thinking about the next diaper change. You're thinking about, the next recital you got to go to. You're thinking about all these things because it's not just about you anymore. So it really, really, at those particular points in my life, it took a lot of energy to reset myself, remotivate myself to continue on this journey.
Yeah.
And
100%. Here you are today. Here you are today in your 40s, right? You're spreading love, you're spreading joy. So I really appreciate it.
45, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Jeez, you're looking 20 years young, my friend. So that's awesome. So are you from Calgary originally, or what's your backstory?
I am. Well, I was born in Vietnam, but left when I was 5 months old. So, it was funny because my dad had, I love telling this story because my dad had a choice. He was Air Force during the Vietnam War. So we're talking mid-70s here. And he was given an opportunity. They were like, listen, war's ending. We're South Vietnamese. We got to get out of here. Where do you want to go? United States or Canada? My dad said, he had his reasons why he didn't want to go to the United States. And he said, you know what, we'll give Canada a try. Mm. So it's a great story because my dad knew nothing about Canada. He said, listen, I think it's really cold there. I think it's really cold. So, but he didn't know where to go. So he literally opens up a map, shuts his eyes, pointer finger, boom, picks Regina, Saskatchewan.
Oh, no way.
So he's like, okay, whatever, we'll try this place. So, we come to Canada, we're getting off the plane. He's bundling us up. He's like, okay, you know what, it's going to be cold. We just got to be sure that we're prepared for the weather. We get off, we get outside. It's freaking August. It's like 25 degrees.
Yeah, of course.
So anyways, we didn't last long there. Parents didn't like it. Then we moved to Calgary. So I've been in Calgary since probably the late 70s.
Okay. Yeah.
And done a little bit of traveling in my time, but this is home for sure.
And you're in South Calgary, is that right?
I am, correct.
So the people who are tuned in from Calgary, check out Mike Fit403 on Instagram. And what's interesting too is I saw you on TikTok.
Yeah, it's so funny because my kids are always on this TikTok and it drives me mental because it's always in the background and they're going and they're creating new dances and all this sort of stuff. But they're always like, Dad, do TikTok with me, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is. What's TikTok? Like, how do you TikTok, right? So they're like, you should be on TikTok. I'm like, I'm not gonna go on TikTok. This is for kids.
Yeah.
So they're like, just do it. So anyways, yeah, I got on, I don't know, a couple weeks ago.
Sure.
And
yeah.
I guarantee you I'm not doing it right, but
well, it
is what it is.
But that's the thing, man, is like, so for me, just a little background about me. So my full-time job, outside of being a personal trainer, is I work in digital media for one of the news agencies here in Calgary. So it's a company called City News. And yep. So we're always looking for new ways to innovate and do, what platforms do we need to be on and so on and so forth. So I decided to look into TikTok to see what it's all about. More than anything, what people are craving is like your personality. You as a person, right? That stuff does really, really well. So even if you're not hip on the trends and all that, whatever, just be you, and eventually it's going to be young until it's not. You know what I mean? So that's the way I feel about TikTok. Yeah, maybe the Chinese, over at China, they're spying on us, or Russia or whatever. I don't know. But that's the biggest argument I hear about it. But anyways, that's a little tangent by me. So let's get back into the fitness thing. So you are a personal trainer, is that correct?
I am. I'm actually an online trainer. Okay. I knew for years that I wanted to be in fitness at some level, but I just didn't know what that looked like. Yeah. Looking at the traditional trend or looking at the traditional path, I was thinking, okay, go get your PT, go work at a gym, see kind of where that takes you. And, I got into it late. Like for me, it didn't work for my life. Like, besides being a personal trainer, I'm also an online marketer, web designer, and I teach entrepreneurship online. So for me to spend hours in a gym training people just wasn't feasible. 3 kids, couple businesses, there's just no, unless it was just passion driven, if I wasn't looking to make an income, like it just wasn't working. I'd have to be in the gym freaking 60 hours a week. Like it just, right? So I thought about it more and more, and I really wanted to get into it because I was like, I got a lot to offer. I can really help some people here. And in turn, like, how it works. it's this positive cycle that happens, right? Like you're there for them, you see the results, you know, they want to be there for you, and like the communication line's open, and it's just this positive cycle of giving, right? And just like helping them get to their goals,
100%.
wanting to be there for them. It's, you know, it's having the results come for yourself now, and you know, just seeing other people level up in not just fitness, but just seeing them, their eyes opened to the capabilities of their body,
100%.
like things that they didn't even think they could do.
Yeah, yeah. And what I like about online training versus the traditional personal training style, I mean, personal training is great. I love personal training as well. You get that one-on-one connection. You can really get some, you know, those inspiring moments where you see somebody complete their first squat for the first time as a personal record, 200 pounds or whatever their PR is. That's awesome. But online training just works for so many more people because like you're not stuck to a schedule, because like for you,
Absolutely.
Mike, if you know, you only train clients from 6 to 9 a.m., but you know, Sally Joe wants to come in at 4:30 in the afternoon, but she really wants you. Like, how do we make that work? So online training, and I mean, the thing about online training too is gone are the days of Excel spreadsheets and, you know, having to look up the exercises and everything like that. Online training now, there are platforms that have video exercises right in there. You can put your body stats right into the app. I mean, there's just so many benefits to online training. That's not to you know, shit on the personal training field or group training or anything like that, because whatever works for the client or the person or for you is ultimately what's going to make you succeed.
That is 100%. Because I have tons of friends that are personal trainers, and they're fantastic people. It just works for their lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, with the technology that we have today with online training, like you can put up your own videos to demo, which is what I like to do. You know, the way that I train is is unique. It's not, you know, it's not your, I don't want to say cookie cutter, but I try to get creative, and really a lot of it is for myself as well, just because, you know, I get bored. I'm looking for new ways to challenge my body, you know, and then in testing those out and trying to find new ways to test my clients as well. And just to have that technology easily accessible to be able to do that is just fantastic. Because what I'm finding online as an online trainer, honestly, Justin, is that whether you're a PT, you know, and you're working at a gym, or you're an online trainer, one of the most important things when it comes to getting results for your client is communication.
Yeah.
Right? It's accountability. It's making sure that you are there, whether it's virtually or, you know, face to face, but being there for them when they need you. And that's what I'm finding as an online trainer. Like, I'm not going to lie. When I first started, I was like, I don't know if I can connect to people the same way I'd be able to connect to them face to face. You know, like you said, be able to be there and give them a high five when they hit their first squat, or you know, hit their next PR, or whatever the case. But what I found was, especially I noticed it when I started taking my own journey online with social media, like on Instagram, that I was able to connect with people that I've never met. And I thought to myself, maybe it will work. Maybe I can connect and genuinely hold clients accountable and communicate with them virtually.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been a great thing. It's just, and that's what it all comes down to. It's constant communication. Like, we all know that this journey isn't a set it and forget it kind of thing. It's not like, hey, listen, here's your program, we'll chat in 2 weeks. It doesn't work like that, regardless if you're a PT in-house or you're an online trainer. You have to be there every step of the way for somebody's journey.
100%. So tell me about, I mean, you mentioned there that you like to challenge your style of training. You like to challenge your client's style of training. And I think that I'm really curious, and I think that the listeners would be curious too. Like, scrolling through your Instagram feed and watching you for the past, I don't know, I think I've been about a year that I've been watching you. your exercises, there are some instability exercises, there are some single leg movements, there are some balance movements and things like that.
Hmm.
And what I really appreciate on your style of training is that you're not rushing through. You are
Right.
totally focused on what you need, the muscle group that you're focused on, the
Hmm.
exercise, and so on and so forth. So tell me about the style of training that you are doing right now, a dad in your 40s, and kind of how you train your clients as well.
Well, the great questions, and I love sharing this sort of stuff because, if we take a step back and I think about myself in my 20s and I think about that style of training, and it was bro splits, a lot of isolated weight training, which is fine. It's important. You need to do that sort of stuff. But for me back in those days, and especially with, I guess, the lack of knowledge that we had in those days, like compared to what we have today in terms of health and wellness, health and fitness, um, that's what I thought that we were supposed to do. And my focus was on your gym muscles. Like it was all about big arms, big chest, try to get a six pack. Like that was the mentality back in those days. And by training that way in my early years, I created a lot of imbalances, a lot of instabilities, a lot of things like, everybody jokes all the time about people skipping leg day and that sort of stuff, right? And I was one of those guys. So, as I started to, move through life and motivation started to change, and I started thinking more about being functional as opposed to lifting heavy weights, I started to look into different styles of training. So I started being like, okay, well, maybe I should start working out my legs a little bit more. Maybe I should start looking at, different types of ways to train to kind of combine or to kind of, bring in with my isolated weight training and try to get a little bit more of a balance in the different styles. And that's when all those imbalances started to come out for me. That's when I really started to notice that I had a lot of things that I needed to work on.
Mm-hmm.
I was, like instability was huge. Like, why can I not, do a pistol squat,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
with just body weight, like, why can't I, even do a proper squat without my knees caving or my left hip not giving out or whatever the case. So I started to realize that there was things that I needed to work on. But at the same time, it was timely too, because I was looking at ways to change the way I was training because I was getting older. Like we all know that your muscles are the last thing to go. It's your connective tissue, soft tissue, all that sort of stuff, right? Ligaments, tendons. If anybody watches my Instagram, if you watch closely and you look at my left leg, my left calf muscle is substantially smaller than my right because my left leg has been through ACL reconstruction, blew my Achilles a few years back, and trying to get back that mind muscle connection after you've had, injuries like that have done nerve damage or, ligament damage, tendon damage is tough. It's not as easy to get that back, especially as we get older. So, one of my things that I always tell everybody is that my goal is to do this at as high of a level as possible for as long as I can.
Yeah.
And what that means is as you go through life, especially now being in my 40s, I got to be smarter about the way that I train. So it's not about.
Oh boy, I don't even know what happened there. So welcome back to the Calgary Fitness Podcast. We've got Mike Lee with us. We were just talking about training in your 40s and how it differs from when you're training in your 20s. And I think that this provides a lot of value for people as well. Is the fact that fitness is going to be different for everybody. We have to understand that first and foremost, right? So
Absolutely.
that's you want to be able to play with your grandkids when you're 60 or, whether or not you want to look good in that black dress, those kinds of things, they're going to differ for everybody. But at the end of the day, you have to do what you enjoy and you have to do what you love, right? That's not to say that instability training is the perfect way to do things or Zumba. That is,
That's right.
do you want to dance your way to fitness? Come
Hmm.
on, you keep going, do what you love. Hey,
No, absolutely. Like we hear it all the time, right? That people should get fit, you should get into a program, you should start working out. But we all know that if you're not loving what you do, there's not a great chance you're going to stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
So the great thing about fitness, and especially the education of fitness today, is there's so many different ways just to be active. Like if it's a mental block for you and you don't want to view it as working out, then view it as activity. View it as something that helps you stick to it, right? Like, and we all have different motivations, right? Like we turn to each other for inspiration, we turn to each other for motivation. But in terms of our why, that has to remain consistent for all of us, because that's what's going to get you through the tough times when you're in the trenches. When it's, here in Calgary, we talk about it all the time. Like when it's minus 35 and the last thing you want to do is get out of your PJs and hop in the car, right? Like you got to remember why you're doing it, and that motivation is a moving target. It changes as you go through life.
Yep.
Like we were talking about earlier, in the beginning, it's about picking up chicks and looking good.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's about setting a good example for my children and living a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Right. And then when I'm in my 60s, who knows, maybe that will be my source of motivation, that I can, walk the dog with my grandkids and be able to play with them, or show them that grandpa can still do a pull-up. Like just
exactly.
It changes for all of us, but everybody's got to find theirs.
And I think that there recently, so I work in the media, and I know that we are partly to blame for this, and we are being told that we're old in our 40s. We're being fed this idea that, if you don't have your life figured out by the time you're 21, you're a failure. And those kinds of things, if we just step back for a minute and really think, we have another lifetime to live. And yeah, fine, whatever. You could get hit by a bus, you could get really sick, you could die tomorrow. That stuff, that's called being realistic. But to say that I'm not going to do this because I don't know where to start, people are better than me, I'm not going to get to a level where I'll ever be. It's not a race. There is no finish line. This is just consistency. It's about being able to move your body the way that it's supposed to be moving. And I think that that's really important for people to remember, is that it's not about a number on a scale. It's not about how heavy you can lift. It's about, like you said, can I do a pull-up when I'm in my 60s, right? Can I lift my grandkids over my head without hurting my back? Can I walk up the stairs? Can I get up and down from the toilet? If I fall, can I push myself back up? Which is essentially what a push-up is, right? Mm-hmm. So to me, that's what it's all about. And for me, that's changed as well, right? So I'm 33, and when I first started training, it was weight loss for me. So Mike, I don't know if you know my backstory, but I used to weigh 240 pounds. I was overweight, I was unhappy, and the thing is so I was a hockey referee. And I actually excelled pretty high into the hockey refereeing community. I know the referees are going to listen to this and say he didn't have a chance at the NHL. But I went to a couple NHL camps. I think that was pretty cool. And that was one of the highlights of my career. But I got to a point where college years got to me, partying, not sleeping, eating like shit. I ended up gaining a lot of weight. And it happens to the best of us. But I couldn't keep up to the game anymore. And for me, that was my big aha moment. And I tell this story a lot. When I first stepped into a gym, Mike, I had no idea what I was doing. And I saw a guy over on the bench press, and he was doing 45 plates on either side. So 135. Great, awesome. He did his 12 reps or whatever, how many reps. And I'm like, okay, well, if he looks a little bit bigger, so maybe I'll only put 10-pound plates on either side. I'll start there, and I'll see what happens. Couldn't even do one rep. The bar went down to my chest, and I paused. And I was struggling. I was throwing my back in. Yep. The same guy came over with one arm, grabs the bar, pulls it up, puts it back on the rack, and he says, if you can't do the weight, you shouldn't be here. Holy shit.
Wow, he said that to you?
How bad that made me feel. But look, we're talking 10 years later. Like, I didn't start fitness. Man, Mike, I was not an active guy until my mid-20s. Like, I've probably only been working out for 10 years, and it's changed my life. It's changed my life, but I think it's that intimidation factor, it's that fear, it's scary. It's scary for a lot of people to say that I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to get into it. And I think it's people like you who are saying, you are worthy. You can do this. If I'm a busy dad with 3 kids, still smiling when I'm grinding away, having a full-time job, personal training people online on the side, like, there's no excuses. You can do this.
No, it's, you hit it on the head there, Justin. And, it's unfortunate, but that story that you just told is a story that I hear over and over again. Like, let's be honest, regardless if you have the guy coming over and saying things like that to you, it's an intimidating place to begin with, even if nobody says a word to you. Like, just walking through those front doors is scary, especially if it's something you've never done before. If you're not happy with how you look, if you're not happy with how you feel, now you're going to walk in and you're going to see these guys and gals that are professionals, look like they've been doing it for years, might be prepping for shows, 6-packs, biceps out the yin yang, and you're like, it's a scary, scary place. So, as I started to get more and more fit, I told myself, listen, I have an opportunity here. I have an opportunity to show people that we're not all like that, and maybe change people's perspective on a couple things. So I really do try to find that balance where I don't mess with my workout, but at the same time, if there's an opportunity to say hi at a water fountain, if there's an opportunity to give somebody a fist pump while I'm sitting next to them while we're putting on our shoes about to go into the gym, you got to remember, when you are that person that's perceived to be the professional in a particular industry, when you're perceived to be the person that knows what they're doing, it's hard for people to connect with you because they feel intimidated.
Yeah.
Right? So if you can be that individual to say, you know what, I'm going to break the ice here. And you're not trying to learn their life story, but you're trying to connect. It's amazing how even the smallest thing, like a smile or a fist pump or how's your workout going as you're passing somebody by, how that makes such a difference in their day, or changes even a little bit their perspective on the gym.
Yeah. And for me, so I work out at the YMCA in Rocky Ridge in Northwest Calgary, and for me, seeing people prep for shows, biceps, 6-packs, whatever, that shit doesn't impress me. It's the lady who was able to wake up, set her alarm at 6 o'clock in the morning, her hair's a mess, no makeup on, and she still dragged her ass to the gym. That's the stuff that inspires me. That's the stuff that I'm like, good for you. You made it here. Even if you're on the bike for 40 minutes, doesn't matter. You're here. You've made that commitment. That's the stuff that inspires me as a fitness professional. So if I ever give that air of I'm intimidating, or I have that aura, like, that's the thing, is it's please, please, please walk up to me. I'm happy to. And you know what? One thing I started doing, Mike, is I've asked people, hey, can you give me a spot? And it's never like, it's not weight I can't manage, but at the same time, it gives people like, shit, like, yes, I can help you. Like, I want to be part of this gym community. This is real. And
that's great.
Like, I think it just makes them feel a little bit better. And then, I'll never walk up to somebody and say, hey, do you need a spot? Because then that makes them feel they're lesser than. But at the same time, if I'm like, hey, I need some help, come over here, it just boosts them up a little bit. It makes them feel a little bit better. And that to me is all about growth, and it's making them feel a little bit better. And I'll tell you too, we've got this one guy at our gym talking about intimidation. Like, I was scared shitless of this guy so I've gotten to know him now, and he's actually a really, really good guy, but shaved head, neck tattoo, like he's wearing army camos, he's wearing he looks very, very intimidating, right? But if you just go and talk to him, he's actually a very, very nice guy. He's working what he can. He's doing his calisthenics, so he's doing his, his muscle ups and things like that. So it looks a little bit scary, but
Yeah.
we got to talking, and he's actually a really, really nice guy. So, that's another point is don't judge people by their, don't judge a book by the cover, right? So
Yeah,
we've all got our
absolutely.
stories. And I'm
Well,
curious.
I see that on Instagram all the time. Like the people that I connect with, there's some guys out there that I connect with, sometimes even on an emotional level, like just inspiration, motivation, and same sort of thing. If you were to see these guys in the gym, you'd be scared.
Yeah.
You'd be like, right? But we're all regular people. There's good people and there's bad people. We all come in all forms,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like you said, don't judge a book by its cover. If there's an opportunity to try to connect, right? You just have to do it, understanding that, it doesn't matter if they acknowledge you or not.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you gave it a try to communicate, that's okay. There's going to be people that don't want to talk, and there's going to be people that do. And that's actually how you start to develop your fit family, is you start to find the people that are like you.
Yeah.
The people that want to connect with you and the people that you want to connect with. And that's how you start to build community, because we know how important community is in the fitness industry. I don't care who you are. I don't care how long you've been doing this, but there's days where you need to lean on each other.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing. And like we talk about, the gym is an intimidating place, but if you can find your people, that's great. And the only way to find your people is to try to communicate, try to connect.
Yeah. And I like to put an asterisk about that where you say the gym is intimidating. The gym can be intimidating, right?
Really
if you let it be. If you let it
That's true.
soak into your ego or your psyche, and you think that this is a big scary place, because it's confusing. Like my gym specifically, they've got these giant glass doors when you walk in. There's bright lights, giant fans. You're not sure where to go. You have to go to this desk kiosk, and they check your membership. Oh, you haven't paid. Go pay, or your membership's overdue, and then you're stuck. You're in the blinders.
Yeah.
And then there's a confusing, you have to go down the stairs. Where's the change room? Where do I go to work? There's just a lot. And there can be a lot, but it doesn't need to be intimidating. So just a couple more questions here, Mike, while I still have you. I do want to ask you about where do you train specifically? And I guess, shout out some of your fit fam that you've got at the gym there.
Well, I train at the Anytime Fitness here in Chaparral. Donna Reed's the owner there, and she's fantastic. She's done an amazing job of really building a great group of professionals in that place. And that's really kind of developed this amazing atmosphere that people all in our area all really want to be a part of. And like it's literally, when you walk in there, it's like, for all my older folk out there or middle-aged folk, like it's like Cheers. It's like walking into like your favorite bar and everybody knows your name, and it's everybody's fist pumping and high-fiving and giving hugs, and nobody's bugging anybody.
Yeah.
Right? Like everybody's still getting their workouts in, and everybody understands this is a time and place for chat, but it's just, it doesn't feel like you said it with just a few moments ago about how the gym can be an intimidating place, but it doesn't have to be an intimidating place. This is one of those scenarios where it's funny when you lead by example and when you start to create that energy. I don't care if it's in the gym, I don't care if it's in the workplace, I don't care if it's in the household, I don't care where it is, but if you start to create that and lead by example, people want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it actually saddens me when I hear people talk about how I like to be alone. Like, yes, we need time to reset. We need time to ourselves, but nobody likes to always be alone. We're creatures of community. We're not meant to be alone. Mm-hmm. It's a dangerous place to be, right? So I love that. I just love that, because of the gym atmosphere, a lot of the times we do feel alone because, like you said, you walk in, you don't know what to do. Somebody's, telling you that you haven't paid, and now there's like this negative vibe, and you haven't even started your workout. Yeah. Right? Like, how do you get excited? How do you get excited now to go squat some weight when you're intimidated and you're thinking about all these other things? But Don has done a great job of building a staff that is bringing the best out of the people that are members there. which I love. And it's gotten to the point where a lot of the people that are there now are I can call friends,
Nice.
right? Like that I can go for a beer outside of the gym with, and have conversations even after I'm done my workout, and it's just great. And if I could, I'd want that for everybody. It's such an amazing thing, and I get it. Like the Anytime Fitness in Chaparral here is a little bit smaller, so it's a little bit easier to connect with people as opposed to like a big Y or these bigger gyms.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible, because you got to remember, we're all on some sort of a schedule. There's a good chance when you're in the gym that you're seeing familiar faces.
Yep.
Right? You're on a schedule, they're on a schedule, you might see them 2-3 times a week. When you start to see those people, a head nod, a smile, it's a familiar face, and that turns into a high five or a fist pump for, a 2-second conversation. But that's the start of building your own fit family.
Good, man. Good. And speaking of fit family, the great transition here. Talk about your family. I mean, you keep the kids active, right? It looks like your wife or partner is really into that stuff too. So tell me about how fitness kind of spreads into your family, and how do you keep them kind of, I mean, maybe you're their motivation or vice versa, right? Maybe you motivate them or they motivate you or whatever. But how do you keep them into the fitness life and moving their bodies?
Yeah, that's a great question. It really is reciprocal. Like we talked about this positive cycle. Like in the family, it's the same thing. It's really part of our family culture, right? At the end of the day, I, being a fitness professional myself, and my wife, she's actually she works for Rumble Boxing here in the city, up at the Country Hills location.
Oh, nice.
So her and I are pretty competitive. So we actually push each other as well to be better.
Yeah.
And being a family man, that kids are sponges. Kids see everything.
How old are the
feel
kids?
Everything. The kids are 13, 11, and 7.
Okay.
So, for us, it's not about telling them that they need to do this. Mm-hmm. It's showing them how being healthy can have such a positive effect on your life. That's really what it all comes down to. And the only way to do that is to lead by example. Mm-hmm. So with Amy and I, that's what we do is we lead by example. We try to show the kids what your capabilities can be if you keep yourself in as good a shape as you can for as long as you can. Mm-hmm. Like that's our thing, right? And the thing about kids is you don't have to say anything. They'll compare what you're telling them to what their friends are telling them and what they're seeing out in the world. So, when we go to the local lake, and we're there, they're comparing us to other parents, right? And I'm not knocking other parents, but they're thinking about the things that we're saying to them and looking out at the world and looking at their day to day and making assumptions, making comparisons. We all do that sort of stuff. And then deciding at that point if this is something that inspires them to be more fit, right? Because we never tell them what to do. We just show them, lead by example, and then ask them, Mom and I are going to go work out. Guys want to come? Yeah, right? Like my 13-year-old son now is made his junior high basketball team, and he's asking me, Dad, can you show me some exercises that help me be a little bit more explosive? Mm-hmm. Can you show me exercises to be able to jump a little bit higher? Because he wants to be a better athlete. Yeah. Right? He doesn't want to just make the team to pick up girls. Like he really truly wants to be the best he can be at something. And that's the mindset me and my wife Amy are hoping to instill in the children at a young age, so that when they become adults, then they can make decisions for themselves. And hopefully some of the things that we've taught them when they were young stick, and they apply that to their adult lives and then instill that in their own children. So we're just really, really trying to just give them the best opportunity to live a long and healthy life and build it into a lifestyle. That's the big thing. We talk about it all the time and it's sad that not a lot of people get to that point where they can truly say that fitness is a part of their life. Like for myself, I schedule it into my Google Calendar. Like when people call me, I'm in a meeting because it's a meeting with myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
100%, man. Well, this has been awesome. This has been so cool to connect with another fitness professional, especially in the Calgary area.
Thanks, Justin.
Where can people find you? I was listening to the podcast as well. So tell us about your podcast. Tell us what you got going on here.
Well, my podcast is on iTunes. It's called Shake That Funk. When I started it, I really, like, there's fitness stuff in there, but we all know how important the mindset is when it comes to anything in life, including fitness. So I told myself when I started this podcast, I was going to start off by just really, 8 to 12 minute quick clips. Just listen to me while you're brushing your teeth. Get you ready for the day, right? Like for the things that that you're going to be challenged with on a particular day. Hopefully some of the things that I talk about help motivate you or help inspire you to be better. So that's kind of what Shake That Funk's all about. And I'm slowly starting to bring on professionals. Justin, I'd love to have you on there eventually.
Oh, thanks. That's good.
And then, and yeah, so you can, catch me on iTunes at Shake That Funk for the podcast, but in social media, Instagram is where I'm most active. MikeFit403 is my handle there. Or, if you're looking for an online personal trainer, if you're looking to just connect, you can honestly just hit me up at my website, which is mike.fit. No .com, no .ca, just mike.fit. And you can connect with me there.
Beauty. Mike, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. This was unreal.
Thanks again, Justin, for having me. And keep crushing it. I see you out there, my man.
Awesome. Okay, we'll talk soon.